Hi there, Robin here today, and we're going to be talking about the Mackie Thump speakers, and this is going to be what we're going to be going over with today. We're going to be talking about the actual features that we have in the back. We're going to also do a sound test and see what a live sound feels of the speaker. We're going to cover all the features like the 1300 watts with 650 watts of RMS. We're going to talk about the D-class power amp. We're going to talk about how it fits in the lineup of all the other speakers and where the value is in the product. So, if you're looking for a Mackie speaker, or you're just curious about all the features it has, the Mackie Thump, this is going to be a great video to have a look at.
Okay, so on today's live sound test, we've got the Mackie set up right on top of the tripod stand, set up at about 6 feet to the top, and we've got, just to be clear, we've got the 12-inch Mackie Thump, the new A series, which replaced their previous model with the open tweeter horn on top. Also, this one features 1,300 watts of peak power, 650 RMS continuous. Now, it also has 2 line inputs on the back of it with gain controls that we can use for line or mic inputs. They're combo jacks, so they do have XLR and 1/4-inch capabilities. And we also have a mix output. There is also a 4-band DSP equalizer located on the back of the unit as well. And what we're doing right now is doing an audio test with the microphone in the live mode. So from here, we're actually going to do a little bit of audio testing. I do have the audio set at 12 o'clock, which is the top low that they marked for line input. And then we'll bring it to the table and take a look at all the features on the back of it. So we'll do some audio sound checks on it, see what it sounds like, and then after that, we'll bring it off to the table.
I'm going to be playing this just straight off my iPhone, some royalty-free music. I'm also talking to you right now without the microphone, so you have an idea of exactly how loud it is. Now, the speaker is set up 24 feet away from the camera, giving you a realistic dance floor experience, let's say, or an audience experience. So, we're just going to hit play, turn up the... There we are. So that's the live sound check portion. I do find it to be, really good in an environment like this. We're not seeing any major problems with it topping out. Now you can overclock it a bit and crank it up on the gain to try and drive a little bit more, but then you're going to be pushing the limiter on the back of it. You'll notice that when you're pushing it higher than that level. But you can, so if you choose to, just know the higher you go at this point, you're going to start increasing distortion. We're bringing it to the table now. Okay, so here we go. We've got it on the table now, and you know what? Everything's gone really good so far. I've had a great sound test on it. The speaker was easy enough to carry. It weighs less than 30 pounds. The microphone performance is really good on it. The volume was great. I mean, definitely at the price point it is, it's definitely got the punch that you're looking for. It lives up to its name, which is really good. Now remember, they market it as a 1300 watt speaker, but that's their peak power. It's 650 watts RMS, which, by the way, puts it in a lot of classes, like same as the ZLX, so much more competitive because Mackie chose to have 2 lines of product with the same overall power output and the same overall look. So they've got the Mackie Thump, the new series, plus they've got the Mackie Thump Boost. Now remember, we're talking about the new ones. You can tell the new ones versus the old ones by the cover on the face of it. Now, the Thump does cost more, of course, but they've loaded up with all the bells and whistles and all the extra things that make it a better overall package. But sticking with the Thump that we have here, it's really about the value and performance. So you get the performance that you're looking for without having to say, well, I'm going to spend an extra $150 because that's what all these extra things cost me. If you don't need the extra things, and we'll cover that on the next video when we talk about the Thump Boost, but this is really going to get you the job done. Now, if you're playing it on its own or if you're hooking it up to a mixer, it's really easy to use. If we turn it around, get to the back side, what we're doing is we've got speaker mode. Now, speaker mode is basically a built-in DSP, in other words, a digital equalizer. It allows us to adjust the sound. Now, they want to keep it as simple as possible. They actually show you the actual settings. Normally, you'd find what the actual EQ would look like by looking at the manual, but in this case they took room on the back of the unit and put it there since all the heat dissipation's done on the inside versus having to have a big heat sink on the outside. So they had room, they decided to put that all there. I like that because it gives you an idea of what's really going on. If you're playing it in a noisy environment and you were using any mixer, you might be using an 80 Hz crossover point, so a button on it that allows you to cut out all the low rumbling, humming sounds from air conditioners and background noise, and just the overall noise a building makes that we don't really pay attention to. It also allows you to EQ it better for vocals. It allows you to EQ it better if you're just having a dance party and you're using it at home or in the backyard. It allows you to EQ it better if you're doing a live performance. It does all of that, and if you're going to use it as a monitor, they even have a setting for that. Now, icing on the cake is they also have a subwoofer setting on it, and that's really good if you're really trying to get a lot of punch out of it and you have a subwoofer underneath. It'll cross it over so this way, take the bass from here out of here, and allow the subwoofer to do the job all on its own. Now, enough for the DSP. On the side here, we've got the main on-off option, which is also showing us where our limiter is, and it's about the LED on the front side as well. Then we've got 3 knobs, breaking the unit down a little bit for us. We've got gain control for our first input, gain control for our second input, and then a main out. Now, nice thing is a lot of speakers do just give you a 2-knob option, so they do have 2 inputs, but they don't give you a main out. What that means is basically if I was actually going to set this up and use the speaker, so I've got maybe my microphones plugged in, I've set up the microphones, there's nobody really in the hall, I don't need it on very loud, maybe I've set it up only at 25 or 30%. And then later on, when there's now 200 people in the hall, maybe at that point, without it re-EQing everything, I just need to turn up the main volume on it. Really handy feature. So there we go. Now remember, on the back of this unit, there is a soft point that lands at 12 o'clock, and that's basically to tell you the difference between where you're going on your line input and on your mic input. And to tell the difference, if it ain't a microphone, it's a line. So there you go. That's your settings there. Down below, they wanted me, again, convenient. They've given you the option, since we have 1 gain control for mic and line, they've given you a combo jack, so you're going to get the 1/4 inch and the 3-pin XLR to fit in the back of this unit without having to have any adapters. Again, convenient, easy to use that way. Mix out, again, if I'm just maybe hooking up 2 speakers and I'm hooking them up in series, one after the other, I can come out of this unit, plug it into another unit. They don't necessarily have to be matching set. Matching sets are nice. So if you're looking for the speaker and you want to have 2 or 3, definitely pick them up at the same time. It's always good to get that way. Now, main power switch, main plug. Now, one thing I did notice on the back of this unit, the power is without an actual fuse next to it. So I've never actually had this thing on so loud or for so long that that's actually become a problem on it. So maybe it has an automatic relay in it. I'm not sure, that resets itself. Maybe it has an internal fuse. When we figure that out one day, we'll add that to the comments down below. Now, this speaker is not UL equivalent certificate. It actually has a UL certificate with it, which, if that's important to you, most of the big brands have either UL, CUL, or an equivalent certificate, which is all good for safety purposes. It tells you that they're actually spending the money to do a good job and have a third party check it out. So that's all there. Now, at the bottom, we had it mounted on a pole because it does have a pole mount on it. Just note that Mackie Thumps don't have any tightening screws, so it sits on the pole. That's it. Nothing more to get done to it than that. Slightly tapered, and if you have the right size pole, boom, you're going to be fine on there. Things it doesn't have, and again, this has to do with the fact that they want to give you all the power, but if they took off a couple of simple bells and whistles that people don't necessarily need all the time, they certainly can be at a much more aggressive price on it. So one of the things it doesn't have, and by the way, if you are interested in any of these features, the Thump does have it. So fly-wire connectivity, the molds are here, but the bolts aren't, so it doesn't have that. The Boost does have it. Features like some of the new speakers are coming out with Bluetooth and all that kind of stuff. Again, it's a Thump option that you get on the Boost model, but not on the Thump. Doesn't take away, again, this is all about the price point. Other features like digital display, it's on the boosted model. So anything like that you'd like to have, you can still get it from Mackie, you can still buy it as a Thump. You're just going to spend a little bit more. But again, that's the difference. There are a lot of speakers at that price point. There are very few speakers at this price point, and it's because they were conscientious about the fact that this is the customer that's going to start off with a great set of speakers, and you don't want to start off with an affordable set of speakers that just don't sound good or just don't last very long. So there you go. That's pretty much everything we can talk about feature-wise on it. It was solid, easy to operate, definitely going to have reliability to it. It's a Mackie product. If you're a fan of Mackie products, you'll definitely be a fan of this speaker. So we'll leave it at that. If you have any questions or comments, remember to always leave them down below, and I get a chance, I'll try and reply to them, or hopefully somebody else watching the video, if they know that they can add to those comments, please do. Have a look at the end of the video. There's always links to some of our other videos. And if you subscribe, thank you very much. If you haven't, please do. Next, we're going to do one quick little bonus segment and talk about the who would this actually be great for. It's good for anybody who can think about it, but we're going to try and, make a little list of that. Okay, so who wants a Mackie Thump? I mean, there's tons of them being sold out there. Everybody's out there buying them, so there's lots of people who really want it. Now, if you're buying it because you're doing some small DJ setups, let's say 50 to 100 people, you're looking for something that carries across, let's say, a wedding hall, and you're doing small gigs, and that's okay. That's great, and it'll do a job. It'll do it really, really well. You're going to need 2 of them. If you're doing a large dance floor area, then you're going to want to have the 15s instead of the 12s. If you're using them in a small church environment, a congregation of anywhere between 50 to 150, using them for talk, maybe there's some singing, you need to have that extra sound. It's a good way to go. If you're a bar, restaurant, club, pub, that sort of thing, and you need some speakers, now size is going to decide how many you're going to need. If you're setting up a small stage area, for sure, it's a great way to go. You get that with a mixer. It's a nice, simple setup. If you're doing backyard parties, awesome way to go. Now, you might decide that you like the boost more than just the thump, so because you may want those extra features like Bluetooth, that sort of thing. If you're going to use the speaker on its own, probably a better way to go with the boost, but to stick with the thump on its own. If you're hooking up with a mixer and all that kind of stuff and you've got all the equipment, great. If you're looking for a great add-on mixer wise to go with it, then definitely have a look at some of the Mackie FX series, because they do have feedback suppression on it, which really helps with all speakers, not just theirs. So there you go. I mean, that's, like I said, keep it within reason. You definitely, if you can buy 2, buy 2. If you're just using it as a monitor, that's up to you. You'd have to be a fan of Mackie to really want to use that as a monitor, but definitely good products, and definitely reliable products. There you go. So there's a little bonus there. Hope that helped out a little bit in making a choice on which one to get, and if you should be buying a Mackie. I guess we'll call it a wrap for this one. Thank you. We'll see you next time on Expert Island. Bye now.